Hey guys, Sherry here. Just had to take a few minutes out this afternoon, although we're slightly under the weather, having some back issues. But I am so angry. I had to get on here for a minute and reach out to you guys, and of course, who doesn't see this right now can see it later. But I am so angry right now over what's happening with this Virginia governor that I could bite a nail into. The fact that this man sat on a radio program and without batting an eye talked about how casually a mother and a doctor could decide whether or not to kill a newborn baby, didn't bat an eye. There was no uproar. There was no hell being raised over that. But because he put a sheet over his head or put some crayon on his face a few years ago, oh, now it's a big flipping deal. Let me tell you something. If you are a Black American, Black Christian American, and this doesn't make you so angry that you can't see straight, something is wrong with you, because this has nothing to do. This shouldn't matter at all. He should have been run out of town on a rail because of what he sat there and said so casually, and the fact that he supports that is beyond irrehensible. Oh my God. Oh my God. We have crossed every line in this nation there is to cross. But let me tell you something. We've crossed one this time that we might not be able to come back from. So those who are on this prayer team better be on their faces day and night, night and day. If you were fasting before, you better double down and do it even more. Because I want to tell you something. What is happening in this nation right now is borderline unforgivable, even by God. What is wrong with us that it took finding a picture of this man from years ago to get everybody up in arms, but he can sit there and talk about killing these newborn babies. Newborn. We're not even stopping at before they're born now. These people are rushing to put forth bills that would allow doctors and mothers to kill their babies after they come out of the womb. And then I see a snippet of something on Fox News where they bring in the panel, of course, of experts. And there's the woman who is from representing this industry. I don't know if she was directly from Planned Parenthood or not, but it doesn't make any difference. And she sits there and immediately starts spewing this crap out of her mouth about how, oh, this is for those cases where the baby wouldn't survive outside the mother's womb. Well, let me tell you something. It's still murder, honey. I have delivered those babies that couldn't survive outside the womb. I delivered a baby one time. I took care of a labor and delivery patient that delivered a baby that had no brain. This baby had no chance. There was nothing that could be done to extend his life. He was going to die. And that mother and father sat there in that room and they held that baby. And they loved on him, and they talked so sweet to him, and they loved him every second they had him in their life, which was short. It was short because he had no chance. There was nothing could be done for him. And to think that we have politicians who would encourage that couple to chop that baby up because, after all, he's not viable, so let's just take him straight from birth and chop him up and sell the body parts, because that's what that is, ladies and gentlemen. Even this child deserved the opportunity to be held in his parents' arms. And we're okay with this? What is wrong with us? What is wrong with us? What is it going to take to get the men and women in this nation to rise up? What is it going to take? Those who claim they love God and hear something like this and do nothing? And say nothing, at least not even fall on their faces before God or be talking about it among each other. Let me ask you something. When you go sit your butt on the pew tomorrow, is your preacher even going to talk about this? Will your preacher open his mouth and even talk about what is happening in America right now? What just took shape and just happened this past week? Will he open his mouth and say anything? Because if he does not, ladies and gentlemen, there's a problem. You have a problem. You are sitting under a coward. You are sitting under a coward. If they do not mention and they do not look you in the eye and say, children of God, this is wrong. I'm calling a fast. We're going on our faces before God. We're repenting on behalf of this nation. This is beyond reproach. This is beyond. This is reprobate mind. This is so demonic. It is so wrong. What the hell is wrong with us? And I'm sorry if you don't like my language, turn it off. But what is wrong with us that we would be okay with this, and that pastors across this nation wouldn't be up in arms? And why do we pick on the pastors? Because they have the platforms. There are tens of thousands of Americans that will go to church tomorrow morning, get up and go to church like it's delali, business as usual, and they will sit under a pastor who will there's going to be praise and worship music, and there's going to be all the programs as usual, and then the preacher's going to get up there and not even mention this. Not a word of it, no hint, no suggestion, no nothing. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, there is a serious problem with that. And why do we get so angry with them? Because they have the platforms. There are men and women who have thousands upon thousands, if not millions of followers. They have a voice. They have a reach beyond these United States that goes around the world. And will they use it tomorrow to open their mouth and stand there as a representative before God Almighty and call the Christians to get on their faces, to rise up, to do whatever you can do in your own space? But the bare minimum is fasting and praying and talking about it and spreading the news. What in the world? This man puts a sheet over his head years ago, and now they're calling for his resignation, but he can sit there and talk about this bill that was just introduced that would allow people to kill a newborn baby, and that's okay? That's nope, no problem. Let's just get up and go to church tomorrow like everything's fine. Let's just go on like it's business as usual. It's not business as usual, people. And if hell started falling out of the sky the size of a planet right now, we would deserve it. We would deserve God's wrath. We would deserve his judgment. If he split United States of America wide open, we would deserve it. We do not have a leg to stand on. He should be run out of a rail. We should be going into the streets by the masses. We should be demanding that, not only that man, but what the hell? When did it be okay for the taxpayer to pay for abortions to begin with? Who said that was okay? And why did we keep our mouth shut when it did happen? I'm telling you what, you better do everything you know in your power, in your little circle to do. If you know somebody that knows somebody in positions of political power and influence, you better go to them and say, what can I do? What can we do? You better use every ounce of influence in your circle to get your face and your voice out there and do something. The number one thing you need to do is open up your pocketbook and start flooding the ACLJ. The ACLJ right now should be getting more money in than they've ever had in their lifetime, because they are the ones who are fighting this in the courts of the land. And that's what it's going to take, ladies and gentlemen. Going on our face and begging God for forgiveness. I mean, begging him for forgiveness. And then the other thing we need to do is we got to fight it on the playing field where they're at. We have to go into the high courts. We have to go into these courts and go in where these